Hey guys, got a good friend here with me today, Thomas Weekly. Thomas has been the director for Campus Crusade for uh, seems like a eternity, doesn't it, Thomas?
Seems like it, yeah.
Although
For
it
sure.
probably went by pretty quick though, too, hadn't
It
it?
really has.
Yeah, yeah,
Been on
yeah.
staff 41 years.
Wow,
Yeah.
yeah, wow, great servant of the Lord. And Thomas recently shared something from Scripture that I thought would be just a tremendous value for you guys to hear. And so, Thomas, I'm going to just turn it over to you and let you run with it.
Okay.
It was out of Hebrews chapter 12.
Correct. Yes,
Yep.
it was.
So I'm going to let you just kind of
Well, thank you.
take and run with it.
Yeah. It started last year. Every year I choose a verse for the year, a passage for the year. And so I chose Hebrews chapter 12, verse 1 and verse 2. But I'd studied the passage years ago, whatever, someone's kind of looking at kind of afresh. And that passage is the one that says, since we have such a great cloud of witnesses surrounding us, let's lay aside every encumbrance and the sin that easily entangles us, and run with endurance a race that's set before us, fixing our eyes upon Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. And so that was the passage. And so as I was processing it and studying it, I was thinking, I was wanting to look at it afresh, anew, thinking what stands out to me. And I found that this kind of 5 E's that stood out for me. The first one was encirclings, then encumbrances, entanglements, endurance, and the last is being enthralled. And so I'll kind of unpack those.
Yeah.
First in the area is encirclings. The passage says, since we have such a great cloud of witnesses surrounding us and kind of encircling us. And, of course, the passage is talking about Hebrews chapter 11, meaning the hall of faith
Hall
people.
of faith, right.
But
right.
God has also, I believe, of course, he encircles us with those from the Scripture, but he encircles us with real people as well. And so I started processing my own life and thinking, okay, Lord, who are the people from my past that you've encircled me with? And then who are the people currently that are encircling me in my life? And what I did was I went back to my high school, to my junior high. I found teachers. I did this last year, actually this week. It was during spring break.
Wow.
And looked up some teachers, looked up some people who cared for me as a young man, and spent time with them. And just to say thank you. And I reflected, I wrote some letters to some individuals, but it was so good for me and refreshing to me to look back on my own life and think God had been at work in my life, even before I was a believer, placing people in my life, teachers, coaches, family members, uncles, people I worked for in my life in such a way to help encourage me. They encircled my life. And it really helped me to run the race that God had set before me.
Wow.
And then, of course, now there's still people that encircle my life that help me in that process, my accountability group, or my best friends, or my wife of 43 years, or my children now, especially as they've gotten older. They're the people that God puts in my life. And so that was the first thing I did, was to thank God for the encirclings and really process that. So your audience, I would encourage them to maybe think through. Who are the people in the past, and then who are currently the people that have been encircling their life?
Well, I think it also shows God's faithfulness.
Exactly right.
When you do that.
Yeah.
And how he's been faithful, even when you didn't even know it. But now you can look back and see that.
Yeah. I went to my family. It was the Gordon family, Federal Judge James Fleming Gordon. He passed away 33 years ago. But his son's still living, and I've kept in contact with him but he adopted me as his son in many ways, raised me. I worked on his farm. My father was an alcoholic, and so this man became my father figure. He was Kentucky Man of the Year in 1975, and his son was like a brother to me. Dear family, loved him dearly. But I went back to say thank you.
Wow.
And I walked the steps I walked on when I was a 15 and 16 and 17-year-old kid. So
powerful.
Yeah, that was the first. So that's the first thing in that passage. Who are the encirclings? Then the second thing I started processing and thinking about was the issue, and that relates to the word endurance. And the issue is that because it's an endurance race, the race that was before us isn't a sprint; it's an endurance race. The word is hupomene, meaning to remain under the pressure or to remain under. The word for race is the word in the Greek is agonia. We get the word agony from. And so it is an endurance race that God has put before us. And so looking back helps, but looking ahead, okay, what is it going to take for me to endure this race, to stay under the pressure? And that's, again, what the word means is to remain under when things get tough. And boy, as a man, I need that. My family needs for me to endure the race that is set before me. So realizing, embracing, accepting the fact that this is a race that God has placed. And it's a race that's been set before me. Yeah. I may not choose it.
Yeah, it's your race. He chose.
It's one for me.
That's exactly right.
And so because of that, I want to make sure that God give me the strength I need to run that race, that endurance race that's been set before me.
So, guys, we're breaking this into 3 parts, so you'll be able to catch the rest of it. So, don't think when I close here in just a second that, like, well, wait a minute, what about the rest of them? Yeah. So, this is going to be 3 parts that we release, but we try to keep it in a certain time frame. So, Thomas has hit encircling and enduring. And now we're teasing you because you're going to have to come back and watch part 2 of this Man Minutes for him to talk about the other E's. Thanks, Thomas.
Thank you, Tim.